like this. And this concept, I don't want to make it through your static HTML, but I want to make it dynamically using your JavaScript. Okay, dynamically using your JavaScript, I want to create a span element, and under that span element, I want to set some value. This is what my requirement, guys. Am I clear? So dynamically, and that too, dynamically, I would like to do this, not statically, but dynamically, I would like to do this. So how I'm going to do, let's have a look. As I shown you, the powerfulness of your JavaScript. JavaScript is enough capable of doing anything on the web page, like creating the DOM elements, removing a DOM element, adding an attribute, removing the attribute, changing the CSS. Anything can be done just by using your JavaScript itself. You don't need to go for HTML there. So let's have a look over here. Now I say where say something called as create a element, some method I'm using. Just showing the powerfulness of your JavaScript, guys. For example, I would like to create a span element. You know what I'll say? I will say where my element is equal to document dot create element, something called as span. This is how you can create a DOM element inside your JavaScript. Using JavaScript, any tag can be created. If I say something called as P, it will automatically create a P tag. If I say something called as A, it will automatically create a A tag. If I say something called as div, it can automatically create a div tag. I'm going to create a span tag. Okay, let us say this guy. Let us console this. What is getting created? Console.log. What is my element? I mean, what you have created just now. Let us see this. I'm invoking this method. Save this, open this guy in the default browser. If I inspect this, close this, I go to console. Do you see a span open and close tag being created? So is it through static HTML or through JavaScript we created? Through JavaScript, I could able to create an element with a tag name called as span tag. Okay, instead of span, if I say something called as P tag, now, when I save this guy, come back, and when I reload this guy, do you see a P tag got created? Yes, boss. If I say something called as div, open this, close, a div tag is being created. Any DOM element can be created just by using your JavaScript. Are we clear? Okay, and what is the method name we have? Document dot create element is the predefined method. Okay, on the top, I say something called a span tag. My interest is not only the simple span tag, I want to see some text inside the span tag. Okay, I want to put some text between the open and closing span tag. I want to put some text here. So how should I go for? I can simply say my element dot inner text or inner HTML. You know the difference between these two? If I say inner HTML, it will treat it as a HTML content. If it is a normal text content, you can say this. Now I say inner text is equal to something called as hello everyone. This is a simple message I'm putting over here. Now, if you save this, come back here and reload this guy. Do you see a span tag got open and getting closed? In between hello everyone message is coming. Got it, everyone? And is it happening statically or dynamically? Dynamically. Super fine. On the top, my intention is I want to add an ID for this span element. Okay, I want to add an attribute called as ID. You know what I can say? I can simply say my element dot set attribute is one of the predefined method in JavaScript using which any attribute can be added. I will say name, say something called as test here. Save this guy. Come back here, reload the page. Span tag got created who is having the name attribute with a value called as test. Dynamically or statically? Dynamically. As I said you, dot set attribute is one of the predefined method. Not only the name attribute, any attribute can be added. I can say ID is equal to something called as sample. I can say my element dot set attribute class is equal to something called as hello. Save this, come back and reload the page. For the same span tag, I could able to add name attribute, ID attribute, and class attribute also dynamically through your JavaScript. See the powerfulness of your JavaScript, guys. I want to put some background color for this. You know what I can say? My element dot style dot background, or else I'll say something called as color is equal to green. This is what I would like to do. And how it is getting applied? See, style attribute got added with a color called as green. Everything happened through the JavaScript. But now you may ask me a question, boss, you are creating a span element with the attributes and the content. That is super fine. But why the hell again you're showing this element in the console itself? You're creating a HTML element, but why the reason you're showing this guy under the console itself? Do I need to show this element on the page itself? I need to show it on the page, right? So how do I show it on the page now? What I can do is, there is already a div tag ID equal to something called as container. There is already an element within my DOM structure. Now what I need to do? I need to identify this element, and for this guy, I need to append this, my element, to this guy. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I will say document dot query selector hash container. Everybody knows the meaning of this statement. What do you mean by this document dot query selector? Boss, from the existing DOM structure, you need to find out an element who is having an ID called as container. And for this guy, you need to say dot append. Append in the sense you need to take another element as a children for the existing element. What is that element? This my element, whatever you have created. That's it. Now, if you save this guy, come back over here and reload this guy. Could I able to add, once you inspect this guy here, see, when I'm inspecting under the div, in general, you see there is no element under the div container, but dynamically you created a span element with all the attributes, with all the inner HTML, and that got added inside the div. See the powerfulness of your JavaScript. We could able to create the dynamic elements, and we could able to add it on the page wherever you want it. Are we clear? Understood, everyone? Now, the one question you might be asking me, guys, boss, why the hell you are complicating this guy? If you really want a span element with name, attribute, ID, and content and all, why don't you simply add it over here, boss? Can I do this? I can do this. Why the hell you are complicating that? Going to the JavaScript, creating a span element, adding an attribute, adding so and so. Why you are making it as complexity? If I simply comment this guy, I'm not invoking this, reload the page. Same thing is happening. Why the reason you're doing this then? Why you're going through the JavaScript? Through HTML, it is so simple. The reason is if it is dynamic. What if like you don't know what actually user is expecting? User may say that I want a paragraph tag. User may say that I want an anchor tag. User may say that I want a span tag. If it is dynamic requirement from the user, and every time it is not hello everyone, he will be putting the message. Let us see this guy. For example, I'm removing this. Now I will ask a question. I will ask the user where tag name equal to prompt. Right now I'm using prompt for some time. Hello. He says ABC, I will add ABC. In the same way, this ID, I was hard coding it as sample instead of this. Can I make it dynamic? Now let us save this guy. I'm uncommenting this method. Come back here, reload the page. It is asking what tag name you want to create, boss. I will say that something called as paragraph tag I want to create, boss. Okay. What is the message you want to say? I will say that good morning all. Okay, what is the ID you want to give? I want to say that testing is the ID what I want to give. Is it got created? Now, if I inspect this guy, go for this guy, is the paragraph tag got created with a custom message, something called as good morning all with an ID called as testing. Is this can be done using your HTML now? If it is static every time, then you can directly go with the HTML boss. If there is something dynamically need to be created, obviously you need to go with the JavaScript. Okay, you should not get a question that why you're making it as complicated by putting that through JavaScript, which can be done with your HTML also. But if you have things are dynamic, for example, we'll go sooner into the other topics. Say, for example, I'm going to show some product details on the page. Okay, for example, in your Amazon, I'm searching for something called as laptops. I got some product details. Tomorrow I come. Do you think that same product details will be shown? No, dynamic details are coming. So in that case, I can't hard code the data. It has to be dynamically generated. That is where DHTML concepts are very, very important. Next, you may ask me another question. Why the reason you're asking the tag name for the user? Do you think that that privilege will be given for the user? Do you think that in your Amazon, it is ever saying that, boss, do you want to show the content in paragraph tag, div tag and all? No, user is never ever bothered about like what type of tag and all. He is only bothered of, well, look and feel. That's it. But I'm just showing an example. If that is the case, you can dynamically do that using your JavaScript. Okay, this won't be a real-time example. In real time, you never ask the user to tell me what tag you want to create, because when I'm using Amazon, do you think that I need to have an idea of HTML, CSS, JavaScript and all? No, boss. I'm not at all bothered of what is happening at the background, what piece of coding it is. I'm only bothered of how well it is being shown to the end user. That's it. Clear, everyone? Okay, online students, are we good up to this? I think I already just answered your question, Monica. Okay, hope everyone is good. So this is the powerfulness of your JavaScript. You can create an element, you can delete an element. Say, for example, there is a span tag. Okay, I say hello is the one what I have. Now, I am going to create a button. Input type equal to say some button. Value equal to delete. Save it and reload this guy. Okay, this is what I have. I say hello, some delete button is there. Once I click on this, the hello element need to be deleted. The hello is inside the span has to be deleted automatically. How do I do that? Using JavaScript. Now on delete, can I invoke a function? On click of the button, can I invoke a function? Obviously, yes. We already seen that yesterday, something called as on click is equal to something called as delete element, some method I'm writing. Now what I'm going to do here, I say var delete element is equal to so and so method. Now what I need to do I need to identify this span guy? Yes or no? I will say document dot query selector span. Right now that guy is not having an ID. Now I'm identifying through the tag name dot delete dot remove is the predefined method. Now when I save it, come back and reload the page. Now once I click on delete, is the element got deleted, boss? Inspect this guy. See here under the body tag, I don't even have that span element. Dynamically through JavaScript, I deleted one of the DOM element. So deleting, updating. So that is what we call it as crude operations. So we could able to perform crude operations. What do you mean by crude? Create, reading, updating, and deleting. You can create a new element. You can read an existing element. You can update an existing element. You can delete an existing element. Any type of operations can be done through the JavaScript on the HTML elements. Are we clear? Understood everyone up to here? No more questions? Guys, if you have questions, please let me know. If you sit idle, you will be the losers. Okay, Shloka. Why to give span when we can give delete element itself? Why to give span element when we... Okay, that's a good question. What Shloka is saying is, boss, why you have added that element? If you really want to delete that guy, you might not be, say, for example, the span guy is there, but you want to delete that. If delete is there, why you're really adding the span element in input button? Boss, say for example, you are having some list of cart items. Okay, in my cart, online shopping, I have added 10 items. Do you think that it is mandated that you need to buy all the 10? I can delete the element from the cart also, right? So when I am saying delete, implies that visibility is being gone. So that type of feature I can do with this, right? So I can't say that Amazon can't say that anyway you're not buying, I'm not adding the elements into the cart. I can't say that. Hope I'm clear, Sloka, with your question. So there might be a requirement in your application where on click of button, you might be deleting something. Okay. Nagarjuna, why there is no single quote for ID for my element dot set attribute? My element dot set attribute. This guy you're saying, Nagarjuna, why? This is a dynamic value, right? The value is coming from here that I am injecting. Now you see hello. Why I have given if I say this guy into inverted commas, ID will be added as an ID here. So this ID is a variable which is having the value. I want to take this value here and I want to inject here. Hope I'm clear. Sloka, okay, Chandrasekhar. If we have multiple delete buttons for multiple contents, okay, then okay, you are saying that can I have multiple delete buttons for multiple content? That's all your requirement, Chandrasekhar. Right now, I am saying that delete is possible. If you say that there are 100 elements, on click of delete, I want to delete all. Add the logic. On click, I want to give some 100 element. For each and every element, I want to put a delete element. For each and every element, I want to add a button called as add to cart, remove the cart. It's up to you, boss, the way you want it. I am saying that through JavaScript, it is possible. The how you do, it's up to you. Okay. Any more questions? Shloka, in line 13, input, can we add ID and use that particular ID in delete element instead of using query selector? Okay. You say at line number 13, how can I add an ID for this button? What is the use of this button? Now, are we really identifying the button or we are identifying the span element? Your question should be something called, what if I have a span element with something called a C content? Okay, now when I'm clicking on this guy, instead of document.query selector span, because the problem is, if I say span element, there could be another span element also. Now, instead of this, you can take the C content. Now you say hash C content dot remove. This is the better way recommended. Instead of having line number 38, recommended to go with 39. Identify the elements using your unique reference, not with the tag names or the class names. Am I clear, ma'am? Any more questions? Can I go forward? Everyone? And you know one more thing, not only deleting the element. You see, whenever I say remove, it is removing the element, isn't it? What if I want to hide that guy? Okay, I don't want to delete it. I simply want to hide it. Can you tell me what is the CSS property using which you can hide any DOM element? Display none using your style attribute. You know what I'll do? I will say document.query selector. See everything through your JavaScript. I say style.display is equal to none. So what I'm doing, anytime user clicks on the delete button, I'm finding the element who is having the ID called as so-and-so. For that guy, I'm setting the style property with display as none. That's it. Now, when I save this guy, Control S, if you see earlier, when I'm deleting, element itself is removed. But now when I reload this guy, when I'm reloading, see under the body tag, there is a span tag. Once I click on delete, do you see element is not visible? But at the background, is the element is still there? Yes, you're hiding it. So you can hide it, you can delete it, you can remove it. Anything can be done. You are using your JavaScript. That is what my intention of creating this example. Are we clear, guys? Everyone? Okay. Now, let me go into the yesterday's assignment, guys. Okay, I will again come back to this dynamically creating elements. I'll create the complete product details page. Okay. Let me show you. Say, for example, this guy is there. My 7 a.m. batch example, I'll show you. Go to the login. Not user underscore. User underscore Prasad. Okay, once I click on login, you see here, this is how the product details are coming. N number of product details. You see the source code of this. Do you see any product details which is having added here? No, everything got dynamically generated because today I might be having this product data. Tomorrow I might be having another product data. Okay, today I'm having some 21 product details. I may have some 30 product details, 50 product details, 100 product details tomorrow. I can't add it statically. That is how dynamically you see through source code, nothing is there. Through HTML, I have not added anything. It's all happening through the JavaScript. That is what we will do in our coming classes. Okay, that is the reason I'm going with this DHTML coding and all. Okay, so let us come back to the yesterday's assignment. Okay, what I asked for something called as generating a progress card. We were doing it, but we are not doing like a progress card. We are simply saying like console name, your age is so and so, your so and so. We are doing it through the console. But instead of that, now we have started with our DHTML. Using your DHTML, you can read the data dynamically from the input elements. You can again show the data back onto the page itself. So let us see how we are going to do it. Okay, student details progress card .html. I'll do one more thing. I'll create a separate folder here. Okay, I will create a simple input element. Earlier, we were using or we are reading the data from the user using the prompt method. But now what I'm doing, I need to read the data from the input elements. We have that input text boxes, radio buttons, etc. and all. Okay, let me do this. I say some class container. I'll say style. I'll say dot container. I'll say border 1 pixel solid. When I'm typing, try to concentrate here, not to talk or discuss. You know why I'm giving the IDs now? Okay, for each every input element, I am trying to give a name so that in future I could able to read the value through this ID. Okay. Age, gender, what else we have? Marks, right? Okay, class is also there. Sure, I'm going step by step, guys. Everybody put some extra attention. Wherever you feel confusion, pause me there. Okay. So what I have done is I just created a simple look and feel for this. Let us see how it is coming on the browser. This is how it is. Let me add some look and feel changes for this. I say li list style none. Say some border 1 pixel solid DDD. Background color FF. Sorry. Okay. This is a simple form I have created. And again, marks, right? I don't want to have this much of bigger size in the text box. I can reduce this. Now, if I say input width equal to say some 30 pixel, I'll say come back and reload. For marks, it is super fine. But why these guys are also getting changed? Because I mentioned it as input here, tag based CSS problems. Now, how do I specifically say only the input elements under this? No. Instead of this, can I say class marks container? I'm giving one parent container. Now what I'll do, only the input elements which are under the marks container. You know this guy? Whenever you give space, what does that mean? Any input element which is part of marks container. Now when I come back and reload the page, only these guys are having this width, not the other guys. Okay. Now I give the student name. Once I click on generate progress card. Are you clear with the UI? No questions. We have done a lot of UI like this. Okay. Now, once the user clicks on this generate progress card, what I need to do, on click equal to generate progress card. This is the method what I'm going to write. Now I'm going to define the source code of this guy. This is where we are going to come with the external JavaScript and external CSS guys. Now I will ask this question. So I was waiting for these type of examples. Till now, anywhere we are creating the web pages, we are creating the simple HTML page. Okay. Now we have come to the location, or we have come to the topics in such a way that In the same page, we are writing the HTML. In the same page, we are writing the CSS. In the same page, we are about to start working with our JavaScript also. It is never recommended to keep the JavaScript, CSS, HTML into the same file. Why the reason? The reason is, the very first question is, when I say this file name as student details progress card.html, I'm saying that it is a .html file. Why the hell the CSS or what the hell this JavaScript is doing over here? Agree? When it is a .html file, what the hell this CSS and JavaScript is doing over here? When I say HTML, it should be only HTML, boss. Point number one. Next point is, for example, right now, this is the CSS what I have used in order to create a student details progress generator. I'm going to create a separate page which is for employee payslip generator also. Okay. There also I'm having the same UL tag, same type of look and feel, etc. things and all. Now, can I say I can reuse this piece of code there? Generally, if I have the same look and feel, I need to do this. Right now, what is the option I have? I need to copy this guy. I need to paste into the separate file. The problem is, if I need to do any changes here, I go there and do the changes also. Instead of this, what I suggest is, why don't you take out this all CSS code and create a separate file? You see here, I'm taking out all my CSS from your HTML file. I'm creating a separate file. I'm pasting my CSS code. When it is a separate CSS file, no need of keeping the style tag. Directly you can paste your CSS content. Now, when I save this guy, I call this guy as something called as my page styles dot, what is the extension? CSS. Till now, we have seen the extension of only HTML, but I'm going to create an external CSS file. I'm going to say it as my page style dot CSS. That's it. Now, what I need to do? Okay, you have created a separate CSS file, but how will you tell this HTML guy to go to that CSS file and take the CSS code? That is where we will be using another tag, something called as link tag. Link is a predefined tag using which you can go to the external CSS and link that CSS to the current web page. The advantage is, now if I have the external CSS, 100 HTML files can point out to the same CSS file. Yes, boss. So I'm not going to copy paste this guy. If I do the changes on a single file, every other web page is getting updated. So this is where recommended to go with the external CSS file. Never write your CSS onto the same file. Are we clear? Okay, that's it. Now, in the same way, now I'll say that I'm saying href equal to say something called as mypage.css. Now, if someone says that, boss, it is HTML, see here, I'm not using any CSS inside this. Okay, then why you're defining JavaScript at the bottom? Can I move my JavaScript also to a different page here? Yes, boss, we can move the JavaScript also here. I take out this JavaScript code, create a new file, paste this guy, save this guy as something called as app.js. If it is JavaScript code, only extension what we can give is .js. I create it as a .js. Done. Now, do I need to ask my HTML? Now, I don't need to keep this script tag here. Do I need to ask my HTML to go to the JavaScript and point out that guy? Yes, I'm going to create a script tag. I say src as app.js. In order to write the internal CSS, we were using the style tag. If it is an external CSS, we are linking it using the link tag. In order to add the internal JavaScript code, we are using the script tag. In order to point out the external JavaScript file, also we are using the same script tag. Okay, script tag is common, but for CSS, it is style tag and link tag. But for the script here, it is only script tag. From today, I should not see any of your examples working where you're putting the CSS and JavaScript on the same file. If it is a .html file, only HTML code has to come. No CSS, no JavaScript. Okay, it's all completely differentiated. App.js is completely different. CS is different. Now, if you ask me a question, what is the limitation? How many JavaScript files can be injected into a single page? How many? Any number. How many CSS files can be injected? Any number of external CSS or any number of external JavaScripts can be injected into the same page. Okay. But only thing is, if I have another link to another file here, I need to go with another link, say something called as abc.css. I may go with another file here. I may go with something called say some test.css. In the same way, if I go with JavaScript, I need to say src abc.js like this. If it is multiple JavaScript files, multiple script tags need to be created. Multiple CSS files, multiple link tags need to be created. Are we clear? Okay. So I know that a lot of you guys were asking from the very starting why you're not creating the external file. I was looking for a same example where I'll have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is the example. Till now, we are working with individual HTML files, individual JavaScript content. But now we are combining the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and CSS. That is where I thought will be relevant example to show you how do we differentiate and what is the actual use of making it as external CSS or external JavaScript file. Okay, fine. If multiple CSS tag with different styles, how to prioritize? Priority will be coming defaultly, Monica. If you come to the priority, right? For example, in one of the file, I say 1.css, 2.css. In 1.css, I have an ID based CSS. Now in the second one, I have class based. Obviously, that priority will come into the picture. It is not like external priority will be coming, but the default CSS priority will be coming into the picture. Am I clear? Okay. Now, next part, we have created a simple UI, something like this. Okay, reload the page, see the source code of this. No CSS, no JavaScript internal. It's all external JavaScript and external CSS. Okay. Now, what I need to do, once the user clicks on this button, I'm invoking the generate progress card method. Under the generate progress card, do I need to read the name what user has given? Yes. No, I will say where name is equal to. How do I get the name from this guy? How do I get the value from this S name? Everyone, document dot query selector hash so and so dot value. So what do you mean by this? From the existing DOM structure, you need to find out an element who is having an ID called as S name and get me the value of that guy. Okay, that is what it means. And I'm taking that value, putting into this name attribute. Are we clear? Okay. In the same way, I say age. So how I'm going to say? I say age is equal to sh dot value. You tell me, am I creating the variables in a actually professional way, or actually it has to be created like that? Okay. Do you suggest like that? No. When I say that name and age belonging to the student data, we know that more than one value belonging to the same category, group it using JSON or array. Array also can be done, but do you suggest arrays? No. Instead, because there is no key there. Now what I'll do, instead of doing this individual variable, can I say something like this? I say student data is a JSON object. Can I do this? Now I say student data dot name is equal to something like this. In the same way, I say student data dot age equal to so and so. Any questions? Now let us console these guys. I'm reading only two values. Let us console this. Okay, save this guy. Open in the JavaScript, right? Okay, I open this default browser, come back here, reload this guy. Once I inspect this guy, go to console, You see here, I'm giving the name as Mr. Prasad, age say some 60, something like this. Now, once I click on generate progress card, could I able to read the name and age values what user is giving? Dynamically, we are reading. We are not reading from the prompt method, but from the input elements, we could able to read it. Are we clear? Okay. In the same way, for gender, see here, when I'm selecting this, both the values are getting selected. Why so? ID, name. If you remember, we discussed this. Multiple radio buttons, give same name, one selection will be done. You see, I'm having this guy. I'll put some name equal to something called as gender. If I give the same name for the another radio button, now there is a relationship between those two. Once one guy is selected, if I select other one, that will be automatically deselected because they both are having same name. Fine. Now my expectation is I want to get the selected gender. How do I get it? Let us say this guy is not having any ID. Now can I say student data dot gender equal to document dot query selector? I already said you query selector is not just only responsible for selecting the DOM elements using the ID or class name or the tag name. Instead, query selector is capable of referring the DOM elements using the pattern also. What do you mean by pattern? Pattern means I can say that elements which are children of so-and-so element which is having the who is the first child, second child. You can even specify the patterns also here. Now the pattern, what I'll say is, I will say input. Now, when I say document.query selector input, what do you mean by this? I'm going to find out all the input elements here. Instead of this, I will say name equal to gender. This is a pattern what I'm giving. Find out an input element who is having a name as gender. Are we clear? Now you tell me how many values I'm going to get? 2 values, because I have 2 input elements having the same name, 2 radio buttons there. But I'm not interested with the 2 radio buttons. I'm only interested with that radio button who is in a checked state, who is in a selected state. Now I say something called as colon checked. Checked. Understand the statement, guys. Document from the DOM structure, find out an element who is having a tag name called as input. For the same guy, your name should be a gender and that guy in a checked position. You need to find out that guy. Now I say get the value of it. Okay. And one more thing, what we need to do is we need to set the value for this guy. We say value, this guy is male. And we say value, this guy is female. Now, once you come back and reload this page, I say so-and-so, I say so-and-so. When I say male, see here, generate progress card, I could able to get the gender as male. Now I select female, implies find out an input element having the name as gender. At the same time, that guy is in a checked state. Right now, what is checked state? Female. Once I click on generate progress card, female is the one what it is coming. Any questions with this line number 8, guys? Let me know. I can solve it. Let me know. I'm okay in repeating the things. That is very important. Everyone so clear? Online students, understand this line number 8. What I'm doing from the DOM structure, find out an element. Earlier, we are simply saying ID and so-and-so, but that is not the case with your radio button. What I'm saying, find out the input element, that guy who is having a name as a gender. Now I have 2 radio buttons who is having the name as gender. Now I need to only find out the guy who is in a checked position. So this is a pattern what I'm giving using your document.query selector. I think who asked this question today? Where is that guy? Okay. Are you clear now? Radio button. Okay. Fine. Now I got the radio button value. Next, what all I need to read? I need to read the value from the class drop down also. So this guy is having S class. Now I need to say student data dot class is equal to document dot query selector. Do I have an ID for this guy? I have an ID. I say hash so and so dot text here. Why I'm not saying value? If I have to say value, then you need to say value is equal to say some class 1 like this. If you have value attribute for this option, then you can say dot value. If you don't have that value option, you need to find out the selected text here. Okay. Now I save this and I come back and reload the page. I say first name, Mr. Raj, age some 20, gender, say some male, class, say some so-and-so. When I click on generate progress card, class is coming as undefined. Why so? I need to say dot inner text. If I say inner text, all the values are coming. Then I can say dot document dot query selector so and so dot selected text. Selected text, no, that is not the way. Or else I can do one thing. Okay, let me do one thing. For now, I can go with this options. I can find out each and every option and which is selected. For that guy, I can find out the value. But this better way is I will get the value output attribute for this. That will be better. If I say value, I will add this value also like this. If it is value, straightforward it is dot value. Reload the page. When I click on progress card, cannot read properties of null. Why so? His S class is not there. There, right? Oh, I'm not giving the radio button. You know, for the radio button, can I make one guy but defaultly selected? Okay, when I say selected by default, if I make one guy default, come on, is my spelling is correct? SELECT selected, right? Yeah. So I'm keeping the mail as by default selected so that we won't get any error. Now I go for this. Once I click on generate progress card, see class 4, I could able to find it out. Okay. In the same way, now I need to find out the marks. How I'm going to find the marks here? I say student details dot marks is equal to an empty array I will give. Now what I have to do, I need to say that student data dot marks of 0 is equal to document dot query selector hash m1 dot value. Do I need to do this? In the same way, I need to do the parseInt also for this guy. Or else, can I do one thing like this? I say % of so and so. Can I do this? Everyone so clear? But the problem is, do I need to repeat the same step for 5 times? M1, M2, M3 and all. Can I minify it using a for loop? I'll simply say for loop I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. I say var ID. ID is equal to, I will say hash. Dynamically, I'm going to create hash M plus I plus 1, I will say. What is going to happen for the first time? Hash, first time it will be hash M1. Second time it will be hash M2. Third time it will be hash M2, something like this. Okay. So dynamically, I'm creating this guy. Later, now I say student details marks of I is equal to so and so. And instead of hash M1, I'll copy this ID and I'll keep it here. Any questions? Why my for loop is throwing an error? Because there is an issue here. Okay, what I'm doing, creating an object, reading name, age, gender, class. But when I'm coming to the marks, I have 5 subject marks. So instead of manually writing marks of 0, marks of 1, marks of 2, I'm making it as dynamic. Student marks of I equal to % of so and so. Are we clear? Okay, now let us see what is the output we are getting. Now, once I reload the page, student name, Mr. Krish, age some 20, gender so and so. I say marks. Once I click on generate progress card, you see this is how I'm reading. Age I'm reading, class I'm reading, gender I'm reading. Marks if I see, I could able to read in the form of an array. Earlier, in order to read this data, we were using the hard-coded data or the prompt method. Now what I'm doing, I could able to solve it using your DHTML. Dynamically, I could able to read the data from the user. Are we clear up to this? Everyone? So clear on this? Okay. Now I have the data inside the student data method. Now what else I need to do? Can I find the total and average over here? Yes, right? Now I will say that, I can write a method, something called var get total and avg equal to so and so. This is what you can do. Okay. But later what we'll say, boss, get total and average is the method which is part of the student details. If it is a part of the student details, why we are creating it as a separate method here? Instead, can I copy this JavaScript and put into the object itself? Object is capable of holding the methods also. Now what I'll say, I will say student data dot get total and avg is equal to a method like this. Okay. Now under this guy, what I'm going to do, I say this dot total is equal to 0. Now I can make use of the this operator here. We are already so clear on this. Now I'll say for loop where I equal to 0, I less than this dot marks dot length I plus plus. Now I say this dot total plus is equal to this dot marks of I. Can I do this? In the same way, I can say this dot avg equal to this dot total divided by this dot marks dot length. Okay. In the same way, I can say student data dot get grade. Okay, I can say that this dot grade equal to empty. What I'll say, if at all this dot, come on, avg greater than equal to say some 40. I'm saying that this dot grade equal to, come on, passed. Okay, if this is not the case, I say this dot grade is equal to surprise. Okay, so I have two methods here. One is for finding the total and average, and one is for finding the grade system. Okay, I'm not going with first class, second class, and all. You already know how do we calculate this. Now, can I have a method student dot display details is going to be a method. Okay, I say console dot log name is plus this dot name log total any questions? Clear, everyone? Now what I have to do is I will say from outside, I will call the student data dot display details. Now he will call this dot get total and average. He will call internally this dot get grade. Any questions? Now when I save this guy, say so and so. Mark some so and so. Okay. Once I click on this generate progress card, get total and average is not defined. Why so? Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll call it as object name. This is the problem what we have with our arrow function. You know, this is not the, when I'm using the arrow function, the arrow function is from the ECMA 6. You need to follow the strict rules of ECMA 6. You know what I need to do? Instead of the student data, you know, can I say something called as get student details is going to be a method. Under that, I can add this guy. Instead of this, I can say this dot I mean, even reading the data also I'm keeping into one of the method. Now I can take this guy. If you remember this shortcut I said, right? If you're giving a method inside the JSON object, we can directly keep this guy like this without keeping any function or arrow function. We can directly give like this, right? And now I can go for the get grade. display details. There is nothing from outside. Outside is simply student details dot display data. Any questions, guys? Now, when I save it, come back and reload the page. I say Mr. Raj, age is some 20, so and so. Okay, once I click on generate progress card, line number 19, this dot marks. Why this guy is not coming, man? Oh my God. I'm talking about the total. First of all, I need to call the student details, right? I have to say this dots get student details. Then I have to go for the total and average. Yes or no? Okay, now I reload the page, ask for the student name, Mr. Raj, age is some 10, marks, so and so, so and so, so and so. Okay, now once I click on generate progress card, this is the object we have created. I have the age, I have the average, I have the class, I have the properties along with the methods that we already know. JSON object is not just holding the properties, it is even having the behavior also. Any questions up to this? Okay, now my next thing is, boss, again, why you are showing it on the console? Are we interested in seeing the consoling here? No, we already covered this DHTML concept. Instead of showing this age is so and so, average is so and so, can I show the data on the page itself? Yes, right? So let us do that. Now I go for, again, under the HTML, again, I'm going to create another div, say some class equal to progress card. Okay, now I need to go with the CSS. Anytime you're having external CSS file or external JavaScript file, right? If you have to open, you simply say control and click on this file. It will automatically open that file in your VS Code. Okay. Now I say dot progress card. Okay. Now under this progress card, I will say UL tag. Under that li, I will say student name colon. I'll put a span tag. I will say ID equal to our name. Okay. So what is my expectation? Here I'll be having student name. Now I need to fill the name here. Okay, which is already in the JSON object. I need to take that value and I need to fill it over here. In the same way, I need to read the student age and I need to fill here our age. In the same way, I say total our total. In the same way, I say average RAVG. I say grade grade. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is how I'm creating an empty progress sheet. Now what I need to do is once I click on the generate progress card, I need, come on, just give me a second. So I am having an empty progress sheet. Now I could able to read the data. I could able to process the data. Processing also done. Only simple thing what I need to do is I need to fill this data dynamically, right? Just give me a second, guys. Okay, sorry guys. So what I'm saying is now I have the empty progress card. Now you already have the data. We know how do we fill the data wherever you want it using your DHTML coding. That's what I'll do. I'll simply say, find out this R name. When I go to this app.js file, if at all I have to display the data, don't console this guy. Find out document.query selector hash R name dot inner HTML or text is equal to this dot name. Any questions? Yeah. So I say this dot name here. In the same way, I will find out multiple this guy. I say what all I have our age, our total, our age, our total, our AVG, our grade. Okay, now this will be this dot age, this dot total, and this will be this dot AVG, this will be this dot grade. That's it. Now I'm not going with the console. Instead of these guy, I'm showing on the page itself. Let us see this. Come back and reload the page. This is a progress card generator page where I say some Prasad, age some 10, gender so-and-so, class so-and-so. Right now, there is no validation, guys. You may ask me a question that boss, how come he's giving some bigger value? Validation, we are not yet done. I will go for that. Okay, for now, assume user is giving valid data. Now, once I click on generate progress card, this is how we are getting. This is what we need to do, guys. Initially, we have hard coded the data. We are reading from prompt method, showing in the console, showing through the alert. No, this is what we finally wanted. Anytime I want to read the data from the user, read it through the input elements. Anytime I want to show the data, show it on the web page itself. Never ask the end user to go into the debugger window. It's all for the developer, not for the end user. Are we clear? Okay. Now on the top, when I'm reloading the page, Oh, initially the page has come. Do you really want this page? Do you really want this progress card block to be shown? When it has to be shown, only when the user clicks on the button. Now what I will do is, I will go for under your CSS. Under your app.css, JavaScript, under your CSS, I'm going to say the progress card as display none. I'm hiding it. Now, if you save it, come back and reload this guy. Is it been hidden? Now, dynamically, when the user clicks on the button, can I unhide that guy? Through JavaScript, I can do. What I will do is, I will take this progress card. When the user clicks on display details, now I'll say, sorry, document dot query selector hash. Is it hash or dot? I think it's dot, right? I gave it as class. Now I say dot progress card dot style dot display equal to block. If I want to hide it, we'll say none. If I have to unhide it, make it as block. Save this guy, come back here, reload the page. You see, right now I don't see any progress card. Say, for example, Tina, age some 10, gender so-and-so, class some so-and-so. Once I click on generate progress card, then that guy is coming into the picture. Are we clear? Everyone? Okay, this is how you're going to work with the dynamic details, reading the data dynamically and showing the data dynamically onto these. At the same time, at the background, everything is object oriented. Now my requirement is, can you work on generating the payslip? Payslip generator. User employee will be giving the name, the gender, department, and basic salary. That's it. Now, once you click on generate payslip, you need to show PF, you need to show HRA, you need to show the total tax to be calculated. Everything has to be shown. Same process, but the values what we calculate is different. Can you do this? Okay, so everybody do the enough practice on this, guys. As I said, it is very, very, very important. Okay. Now, we are not calling generate progress card. We are calling it Sloka. If you see on click of this button, we are doing this, right? On click of this, I'm doing this generate progress card. And Monica, how to refresh page to enter second student details? That's a good question. What Monica is saying is, okay, boss, you have given for the first student. Right now, the option what I have is I need to reload the page. But if you want to say reset option, you can do this. Add a reset option, hide this guy, unhide this guy. We can do that. I'll show it tomorrow. Okay. Iris, are we as we done with employee details, PF, HR, and total salary? As we done with, you need to do that, Iris. I'm expecting that you have to create a payslip generator. Can we use script and link tags inside the body tag? Abhilash, the script tag or the link tag, this can be placed anywhere within the page. See, in between of the li tag, I can do this. See, reloading of the page, I see the CSS. It can be placed anywhere. Recommended to keep it inside the header part. Okay. So let's pause it for today, guys. We'll meet again back on tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll come with the remaining things what we have in your DHTML. Bye for today.